Hello, everybody, and welcome to BreNXT, the show on the upper tier channel where we talk about NXT exclusively. Now, this won't be the first time you'll see me face tonight. You will actually see my face in the next hour and a half on Pro Wrestling Weekly. So do tune into Pro Wrestling Weekly at 8 o'clock, where we talk about Raw, we talk about everything that's in the wrestling headlines, and we have a couple of things to get through on Pro Wrestling Weekly. So do join us for that. So NXT, what went down, what was good, and what was not bad. Well, actually, there was one shit show, but we'll get to that. Show opened with Miles Bourne, the new NXT North American champion. That was pretty cool. He was suited and booted. Of course, he only had to mention Ethan Page. And as you know, Wrestler's Code, somebody mentions your name in the ring, you do come out. And that's exactly what Ethan Page did. He came out, both men, he wanted a rematch. Both men were happy to do a rematch. Bourne was like, yeah, let's just do it. Robert Stone, the interim NXT general manager, came out and he made it official. He did it. Adam Pearce, it's official. Let's go. And that brings us to the first match. Now, the funny thing about this match is they remained in their street clothes. Kind of. So they remained in their suits. And what they did in the street clothes is kind of impressive. But look, it was never gonna come close to how good last week's match was, but this was pretty damn good. What I would say about this is I kind of thought after watching this match, is it time for Ethan? I always do this. Is it time for Ethan Page to be moved up to the main roster? And I think it is. Bring Ethan Page to SmackDown. Let's roll the dice and let's see what happens there, because he's such a super talent and he deserves it at this stage. But then there was a segment later on that kind of indicated that he might be going to the NXT championship. He might be going for the NXT heavyweight champion, but we'll see. We'll see, because D'Angelo laid claim to that then later on. Zarya was then interviewed by Sarah Schreiber. Of course, we all want to know why did she attack Sol Ruka, but that wasn't answered. It was kind of dismissed, and then we moved on. One of my favorite parts of NXT in the last few weeks has been Dark State and the Tony D'Angelo situation. So Dark State were in the parking lot. They're going mad looking for Tony D'Angelo. Of course, Robert Stone appears with security guards and gets rid of them. As soon as that happens, Tony D'Angelo pulls up and takes out a crowbar. A crowbar. He's a maniac. I love how gangster Tony D'Angelo is. Incredible stuff. Look, we then heard from Blake Monroe, and of course, it was always going to be interrupted by Jada Parker. Blake Monroe indicating that the women's division evolved around her. Jada Parker, of course, disagreeing and saying, I'm going to slap it out of your mouth at Vengeance Day. And later on, Monroe would come out, and it turns out that match is going to be a street fight. So that match, to me, just got more interesting, and I think that should be a good match all round. The Women's Speed Tournament semi-finals, which was Ren Sinclair with Kendall Gray versus Nikita Lyons. Look, anybody that's watched BreNXT knows that I am not a fan of this Speed Championship. I'm like a broken record at this stage, but they need to kill it. It needs to die ASAP. Just like the hills that I'm constantly dying on Pro Wrestling Weekly, and there might be a couple more tonight. But look, they need to kill this ASAP. But the winner in this case was Ren Sinclair. And basically with Ren Sinclair winning, look, it was what it was. It was a cool match. Both women looked good, but it was just the Speed Tournament does me head in. It needs to go, in my opinion. In saying that, both women look class. Nikita Lyons, what are they doing with Nikita Lyons? I think they should do more with Nikita Lyons. It wasn't so long ago where she was constantly highlighted on everything, but they definitely need to do more with Nikita Lyons. But look, we'll see what happens. The winner of that match was actually Ren Sinclair. She won by submission, so let's see what happens. We then had a face-to-face with Izzy Dame and Tatum Paxley. This was a very well-done promo, in my opinion. And look, this needs to end as well, but I think they've done well up till now, and hopefully it ends at Vengeance Day this weekend. We then move on to Shiloh Hill, Hank Walker and Tank Ledger versus the Vanity Project, who we'll see later on. That being Jackson Drake, Brad Baylor and Ricky Smokes. The winners were Shiloh Hill, Hank. I nearly said Hank Wanker. There you go. Hank, brilliant. YouTube's YouTube's not going to let that fly. And Tank Ledger. Look, bell to bell, this match was fun. It was deadly. Shiloh Hill pinned Jackson Drake. So I wonder, does that mean he by wrestling logic, he goes for the Evolve Championship? But we will see. Now, one of my favorite parts, Dion Lennox called out Tony D'Angelo. The mad bastard called out D'Angelo, the man with the crowbar. Look, they had a bit of back and forward. And D'Angelo kind of indicated he's going to batter him Vengeance Day, but then go for the NXT title, which I think is cool. I think D'Angelo should. It's a logical progress for D'Angelo. He's just so cool. He's killing it at the moment. This gangster character, he's really come into himself, and I can't wait to see what happens in the future. NXT Women's Championship, JC Jane versus Zarya. This was a double disqualification. Also, as much as I don't like double disqualifications, this was bleeding deadly. It was deadly because the predictable result, obviously, being that Sol Ruka got involved. It adds to their story, which is deadly. And then after the match, Sol Ruka basically kissed her in the forehead. And yeah, she's basically saying, you're dead. You're yesterday's news. So that's going to be interesting. Look, predictable result, but all in all, very, very, very cool. Now, we go on to the main event segment. This is kind of what I was getting at. This was garbage. Absolute garbage. It was brutal. By my estimation, this was the worst thing that Ricky Saints has ever done and or been part of. This was just terrible all around. It was promoted as a rock concert by Ricky Saints. Now, Ricky Saints previously in the past has often been compared to The Rock. And I think if you're being compared to somebody like The Rock, you don't do stuff that he would have done. Now, look, I know he's feuding with Joe Hendry, who does these kind of concerts, and he's there to kind of make a mockery of it. And it's probably not supposed to be great, but this was just bad. Very, very bad all around. He sounded like Booker T there. Oh, yeah, this was bad. But it was very bad all around. The best thing that happened was Joe Hendry came in. And actually, whilst I'm on the subject, Elias as well. This was Elias's gimmick. And look, you could argue the Joe Hendry thing, but Joe Hendry kind of made it his own. But if you're being compared to The Rock, you don't do a rock concert because this was terrible. He shouldn't have been anywhere near this. Look, a man in a mask appeared. We all knew who it was, but WWE, put away the masks, please. We are sick of masked men. Masked men every other week. Well, we finished it up there at Elimination Chamber. Let's give the mask to Joe Hendry. Now, thankfully, Joe Hendry interrupted the segment, which was deadly. Very, very cool. The Vanity Project came down and basically got involved. Joe Hendry was getting a battering, and then we seen Bourne come out. Bourne made the save. Now, look, to me, the main event segment was the worst part of the show. NXT itself, consistently, as always, a very, very good show, and I am looking forward to Vengeance Day. But the cool visual at the end was Bourne and Hendry holding up the titles, and I thought that was a very, very cool visual at the end. As bad and as terrible as the last segment was, NXT itself is consistent as ever. It was, the ending was crap, but look, we have Sol Ruka and Zarya. That's heating up, and the D'Angelo and Dark Stage stuff is gold. And like that, I don't like the speed stuff, and I didn't like the main event, but everything else checked in. It was good. So what did you think of NXT? Do let us know in the comments. And also as well, this is kind of a different NXT show this week. It was kind of basically the only way that I could do it this week, which is cool. I do want to thank Sean for covering me last week because I couldn't do it last week. Sean did a great job as always. So as always, like the video. I'm not telling you what to do. Like the video if you want to. No, but as always, it'd be nice if you like the video. Definitely subscribe to the channel. The Upper Tier YouTube channel producing quality content. We're doing this thing now where we drop a video of WrestleManias. We're covering all the WrestleManias. Each one of us has taken 5 or 6 WrestleManias each, and we're going to drop a video every day. We're going from one, which I covered, all the way up to present day WrestleMania. So do tune in and do let us know what you think of those videos. Also as well, Pro Wrestling Weekly will be live tonight at 8 o'clock. It promises to be a cracker. An absolute cracker of a show. We're going to cover Raw, which was positive. We're actually going to have a positive panel tonight. So we cover Raw, and we're going to cover the wrestling news as well. But like and subscribe to the channel. A lot of videos dropping. There is a couple of comments, so I am going to take them real quick. To be honest, I planned on doing this in 10 minutes and done. But let's see what we have. Sol Ruka matches. This is from Neve Lambo. Who's that? Only messing. Sol Ruka crashing matches like she's there for free snacks. Do you guys think she'll steal every title before Vengeance? No, she probably won't, Neve Lambo. I'm not even reading that. Acers, good to see you, man. Tune in tonight. I know you will. We'll see you tonight on the channel at 8 o'clock for Pro Wrestling Weekly. But Cody Rhodes winning the WWE Championship this Friday. Cody Rhodes versus Randy Orton, night 1. Acers, I agree with you. I agree with you. Something tells me it's probably not going to happen, and he's going to get screwed out, and it's going to be a multi-man match. But if Cody Rhodes wins the belt this Friday, please, everybody and their mothers, brothers, uncles, sisters, dogs, cousins, whatever, tune into Pro Wrestling Weekly the week after, because it's going to be glorious. Because we have a bit of a panel of Cody, not Cody haters, but they're kind of, they don't like him in the title scene. So do tune in for that. Elimination Chamber was god awful compared to last year. It was, do you know what, Acers? Elimination Chamber had its moments. It had its moments, and obviously, I think Noel said it on the short. The moment of the show was Seth Rollins revealing himself, obviously, and it was predictable, but it was so well done. It was brilliantly done, but yeah, it wasn't great. But we'll talk more about that tonight, 8 o'clock Pro Wrestling Weekly. So, like I say, subscribe to the channel, drop a like on the video. I'll see you all on the next video. This has been BreNXT. I'll be back next week with the normal setup, and I'll answer this one more. You should do a watch along for Vengeance, NXT Vengeance Day. I might do. It's just not guaranteed based on I've got commitments myself, and I'm trying to kind of jungle them around. That's why we haven't really advertised it, because it's not guaranteed. If I can do it, of course, we'll advertise the feck out of it, and we'll talk about it. But here's hoping. Either way, I will review it on Sunday. I will do a video similar to this on Sunday. So I appreciate that, Acers, and I will likely see you tonight. One more. Dean, how have you ended up on my feed? I don't know, Dean, but it's absolutely lovely to see you. This is my BreNXT show where I cover NXT, but we will be covering, I'll be live again on this channel at 8 o'clock with the rest of the guys and girl, and we'll be covering everything that's happened in the wrestling the last week. If you're around, sure, jump on it. It'll be good crack. So with that said, good to see you, Dean, and to Neve Lambo and Acers, thanks a million. I will be back at 8 o'clock. I will talk to you all then. Do drop a like, subscribe to the channel. I keep saying that I'm like a broken record at this stage. And I'll see you all tonight. Class Bud, Class Dean, thanks a million. Hopefully see you tonight at 8 o'clock. And I will see everybody else at 8 o'clock tonight, Pro Wrestling Weekly. It's going to be a cracker. Thanks everybody for watching. See you all again. All the best.